Hey everybody, so I want to tell you, I want to tell you about my camera. I have a Canon EOS Rebel T2i the SLR camera. So let me tell you a little bit about it. Obviously this is the lens cap. You just press the little buttons on the side and it comes off, and your lens. On the side of the lens there are a few switches here. One that says stabilizer on and off, which I typically leave in the on position. And then right above that is the AF/MF, which is for autofocus or manual focus. Slide it to whichever one you want to do. This little button here will turn on the flash. So if you'll notice when I press it, it pops up the, sorry, my cat wants to help. It pops up the light so that you can take a flash picture. And let's see, this little button over here, if I press that and turn this, it will take the lens completely off so that I can switch it to a different size. And I think that's pretty much it on the front of it. Here is the button, the magic button that you use to actually take the pictures. This little wheel is used to make adjustments for several of the settings, which I will demonstrate in a moment. This little button that says ISO is to turn on the ISO settings so that you can change those. And then this is your wheel to change the different setting options that you have. So as you can see, I don't know what all of these mean, but right now it's set for ADEP. If I switch it to here, that's M for manual mode, so that I'll have complete control over the whole camera. I can do whatever I need with it. This next setting is AV mode, which is the aperture priority mode. So if I put it on that mode, I will be able to change the aperture to whatever I need, and the camera will adjust the shutter to match for the best picture. If I switch it to TV mode, that is shutter priority mode. So switching it to that means I can change the shutter and it will switch the aperture to the best setting. Where are we? I don't know what P means or that one. But the green one is the automatic mode, so that if you're not sure about how to set any of it, you just want the camera to make all the decisions, you just set it for the green mode and it will do everything for you. The one right below that is similar to that. It's also an automatic mode, but it will not use the flash. So the green one does everything including flash, but the one below it does everything except for the flash. Then these other ones are presets for different themes or different scenarios. So this first one that shows a picture of a face is the perfect settings for a portrait. The one below that looks like a mountain are the settings for landscape and scenery type pictures. The one of the flower are the settings for close-ups. The one below that with a man running is the setups for sports and moving type pictures. The one below that is actually night mode, if you need to take a picture at night. And then right below that is the video mode, so if you want to take it as a video camera. So I'm going to switch it back to manual for the rest of these demonstrations. Alright, so then right beside of that is this on-off switch. So I'll switch it to on, and that turns the camera on, so you can see my menu screen just came up. And so on the back of the camera there are a lot of different settings here. The settings this right here will allow you to, I'm not exactly sure what that setting is just yet. I've used it a couple of times, but I don't use it that often. This one right here, typically when you take a picture, you're going to look through the viewfinder to see whatever it is that you're going to take a picture of. If you don't want to use the viewfinder, if you want to use the screen instead, you can mash this button and that will change it to the mode where you look at your image through the screen before you take the picture, instead of having to use the viewfinder. This first button is the aperture button. That's what you'll use to change the aperture, which I will show you how to do in just a moment. This one below it, this has got a little Q on it, when you press on that one, it will give you the chance to choose some of these other settings on the menu screen, which again, I'll show you how. Down here in your little dial, the first one that says WB, that's your white balance. So you'll press on that to access the white balance menu. The AF is some of the autofocus type settings that you can choose different choices, different ways of focusing. And let's see, this is your, I think this is portrait style, different modes, which I could just press on these and show you. So there's your different picture styles that you can choose. This, oops. This is your AF mode. You can see there's different types of focus modes. This is your white balance mode, and you can see there are different choices. But I'm going to leave it on automatic. Let it choose its own settings. Let's press the button in the middle. And then this one is drive mode. I can't remember. So this one you can choose to do a single picture or multiple pictures or the delayed. You can set the timing and like the timing, how long you want to delay it, or how many pictures you want to take on that delay. Then this little blue button down here, once you've got everything set and you've got some pictures, you can press this button and you can cycle through your pictures. So here's some of the pictures that were taken. And if there's any that you don't like this one I can delete, I can just press this little trash can button over here on the far side and just press that. And it says, do you want to erase or cancel? And of course, if I go over to erase and press this button in the middle, then it deletes that picture. And then when I'm finished reviewing them, I can just press this button again, and it goes back into my regular menu. And then over here, we have another menu button that gives me lots and lots of settings. So as I go through, you can see there's all kinds of settings on here that can also be set. And then to turn it back off, press the menu button again. This display button, if I have a picture pulled up on here, let me go to one of these pictures, and I can go to this display mode. It will show some information about the picture and something about, how it was taken and what the exposures were and some different levels. So that's what that display is for. So let's see. This is where you'd put an extra flash if you needed one. And here on the side is the connection spot to hook it up to like a computer or a TV. It's got it's got a power cord. It's also got an HDMI out, a microphone, and I can't tell what that is. Headphones maybe. And then on the bottom here, we have the battery compartment. And then over here on the side, we have the card, the HDMI card where everything is stored. It's in there. You just have to press it, and it spring loaded. And then this little screw hole in the bottom is where I put in my little square metal piece that attaches to the tripod. All right, so to change some of this, let's see. How can I set my camera to manual, shutter priority, and aperture priority? Okay, that would be this wheel on the side. Again, the M is for manual, the AV is for aperture priority, and the TV is for shutter priority. So, and then the ISO button here. This is how if you see when I press it, it switches to ISO speed. I can use this little wheel in front to scroll through the choices like that until I get to the one that I want. If I have it set for a specific amount, I'll just leave it on auto. Then I can press the ISO button again to turn it back off. And the ISO is the how sensitive it is to light. How can I set my image size to large? Okay, we need to go to the menu and go to quality, which is at the top of this list. Let's see if I can get over there to it. Then I'll go into it. All right, so in here you can see I have, this is where you set raw imaging or JPEG type imaging. So it depends on what kind of pictures you're taking, how good of a quality you want it to be. So right now it's set for RAW. If I wanted it to be set for large, I can just scroll through the list. Right there it is, set for, there's two different large settings. One is large with high quality, one large with low quality. That would be the high quality setting there, I think. And then you have your same thing for medium and small. And then you have your RAW plus large quality, and then just plain RAW. So then, how can I set my white balance to auto? Let me turn this menu back off. And again, the white balance is up here at the top where it says WB, and I already had it set for automatic. You know, if it was on the wrong one, you just use the little buttons here to scroll to the one that you want and press set. Okay, in manual mode, what shutter speed is and how I adjust my shutter speed. Okay, so I'm in manual mode right now. Shutter speed, you'll see on this screen, you've got some different settings. This first one right here, the one with the slash on it, that is your shutter speed. I can remember. Okay, so that one's your shutter speed. The one beside of it that's got the F number, that's your aperture, and then your ISO setting over here on the far right hand side. This little meter here is the exposure, and then these other things are the stuff that I've just set, but they're just showing you what the amount is. So if I wanted to change my shutter speed, right now that's what's highlighted, so I could actually just turn this little wheel, and you'll see that the number changes. And that if I do it like with a small number like that, that means the shutter is going to be open for quite a long time, a whole eighth of a second. So if I don't want the shutter to be open long, I need to set it on a higher number. So I just turn it up. And then in manual mode, what aperture is and how I adjust my aperture. Okay, this button, oops. So the F number is your aperture. This button here is how you set it, but you have to press, and you'll see once I press and hold it, if I let it go, it goes back to shutter. So I have to press and hold it so that it will stay on the aperture mode, and at the same time use this little wheel to turn it. So you can see it's changing. And aperture is, let me write my notes here. That is the hole that's letting the light in. So the smaller the hole, the less light's going to be able to filter through. So the larger the hole, the larger the F number is, the more light will be able to go through. Okay. Manual mode, where my light meter is and how I can tell what my exposure will be quick. Alright, so again, this little -2 to the +2 is your light meter. That's your exposure meter. Of course, in the middle will be perfect. If it's in the negative range, it's going to be underexposed, and in the positive range, it's going to be overexposed. And to change that, so we get over to it, there's a couple different ways you can get to it. One is to press this Q. Once I press this Q button one time, you can see it kind of goes into a different mode, and then I can use my arrows here to select the different settings. So I'm going to go back up to that one and press set. Now I can use my wheel to change that setting there. Another way to do it is just through this menu here and go to I can't see it. Hang on. Okay, I already had it. It's on this one right here. It says at the top exposure, and once you press enter, you get the same thing, and you can set it. All right. Okay. All right. In shutter priority mode, so let's switch it on my little wheel here to TV mode. So it's in shutter priority mode. How can I change the shutter speeds in this mode? And you can see again, the shutter is already highlighted, so I can just press my wheel and it changes, or just turn it rather, and it changes. So in aperture priority mode, so I'm going to switch it to a V mode. A V mode, yep. So aperture mode, how can I change aperture mode? And again, it's already highlighted, so I can just do my wheel and it changes the aperture mode. How can I set the exposure compensation on my camera to make it overexposed or underexposed? And I just showed you how to change that, which is the light meter is the same kind of thing, but exposure is what they call it on the other screen. And then how can I set my camera to manual or autofocus, and how do I focus? All right, so again on the side you have AF and MF. So if you leave it on AF, which is autofocus, then whenever I take my picture, my button here If I press it halfway down, it's going to automatically focus for me. And then once I press it the rest of the way down, then it will take the picture. Or if I want to do a manual focus, hang on, there we go. If I want to do a manual focus, I can switch it to MF, and then I can go through the viewfinder and I can set it myself. I have two little wheels, one in the front for, like I can do the big one to see how, to zoom it in and out, and then I use the small one here to focus it. And then once I have it where I want it, I just take the picture. So there's your lesson on using the Canon EOS Rebel T2i. Thanks.